This is Glenn from Thrive After 50, and on the other line here, I have Peter Stone from Peter Stone Jewelry. And Peter has a very interesting business prospect today that he would like to share with us here. And am finding it very enticing myself. So anyway, without further ado, Peter, why don't you go ahead and explain to the listening audience here what it is that you're putting together and kind of the nuts and bolts of it here, if you would.
Sure. Welcome, everybody. And this is Peter Stone. And yeah, Glenn and I have been friends and known each other for quite a few years now. So I really like Glenn's program, the Thrive After 50 program. So just this month, by the way, my birthday is in about 2 weeks. And people ask me, how old are you? And quite frankly, I forgot a lot about, I just never paid attention to my age. And because I'm thriving a lot in life. And I'll be 65 in just a couple of days, 10 days or something, on the 21st.
Happy birthday.
So I understand about energy and about freedom and travel, and I kind of did life backwards. I've been traveling all my life, but what I put together was, because I've been selling jewelry for a long time, and this is what I do. I make jewelry in Thailand. We've had a team here for 26 years, a green company, fairly traded, probably one of the only, if not all, the only company in Thailand that has a 5-day work week for our factory, because we believe everyone who touches Peter Stone Jewelry matters. And so where we start the jewelry, we care. It's a green company. We look out for the environment. So we've been making jewelry for 26 years. I've been in the jewelry business for 31 years. So I started out selling out of the trunk of my car, and I was an engineer on merchant ships for, 20 years almost. And when the fuel crisis came in the 70s, the mode of transportation started to change. The powering of merchant ships began to change. And how that changed was from steamship to motor ship. I said, well, I didn't really particularly want to be a mechanic, and I really love thermodynamics and the operation of a steam plant. So I said, what could I do? Even though I was making 6 figures in 6 months, I knew the ships wasn't staying in port very long anymore, and the adventure was going away. Container ships in port for a week. When they were cargo ships, used to stay for a week, 3 days, 5 days. Now they're staying for 8 hours, the longest 24 hours. The adventure was over, and then they wanted me to be a mechanic, and I just looked for something else. I stuck my hands out. I said, well, how can I change this? And I looked at my hands. I said, well, I guess I could put millions of dollars worth of gemstones in my hand and travel. And that didn't work, and probably a good thing, because I'd probably get my throat sliced or something. But anyway, I found it tough. I became a gemologist. I tried it. I went to New York. I wasn't cut out for that. But what I was cut out for was, I loved the North in the summertime, much like I know Glenn does and a lot of people. And I lived in Key West, Florida, and I really loved Florida in the wintertime. It was really hot in July, like this time of year, in August, sweltering hot. And I know now, being 65, but it's not even that being 65, it's the whole adventure through this journey of selling. So I started buying and selling jewelry, and then after 5 years, I decided the jewelry wasn't good enough, and I started making it myself. I knew nothing of making jewelry, but now 25 years later, I do. The jewelry is beautiful. But in the travels, when I had already opened up the East Coast, selling out of my trunk of my car, staying on campgrounds. I loved it outside, fresh air. And I would go to all the beautiful resorts where everybody was paying to go. I was getting paid to go. I thought, how novel is that? I'm traveling where all the tourists are in the summertime, Provincetown, Cape Cod, up into Maine, New Hampshire, beautiful Massachusetts, Connecticut, selling all the while down to Ocean City, Maryland, even into Virginia Beach. And then in the wintertime, Key West, up the west coast of Florida, the east coast of Florida. I loved it.
Doing this out of your trunk?
I was out of the trunk of my car. Rental cars, mind you, because I had a Ford Bronco at the time, and I wasn't going to drive that all over the place. And so it was expensive to drive a Ford Bronco, but I didn't need it. I just rented different, and I got to drive different cars all the time. And one month, I stayed in the United States and I rented a Cadillac, and that was pretty comfortable. And I got a good deal on it, but that's not the point. So then I went to the West Coast. I got an office in Seattle on Pier 70, and I'm looking out over the beautiful Puget Sound, and it was so dramatic and changing. And then the next thing was I needed to open up the West Coast. So at that time, 1992, Camaro Z28s were at a bargain price, like $19 a day. So I rented sports cars. I drove up and down the Washington, Oregon, and Northern California coasts the whole summer of 1992. And fortunately, that summer was the summer they had a drought. So I was sleeping by the ocean, and they had clean facilities on that trip. And on those trips, one time I was down near Gold Beach, Oregon, and this elderly couple, or this couple, they're probably in their 60s, on the side of the road in their motorhome. This guy's got this thing that looked like a guitar, but it was a piano. I guess you've seen those before. And they're selling those, and they're selling a few other things. And it was like a roadside fair. And they had friends there, and they were having a blast. And I'm saying, boy, these people are retired, they're having fun, they're out making money. Then they said, oh yeah, well, we travel. I got in the conversation, and they said, oh yeah, we travel down into Arizona, and we have a place in a motorhome park. So in the winter, we go to motorhome park in Arizona, and we sell down there. We have all our friends. We're social. Oh, by the way, Peter, our motorhome's a tax deduction. All of the fuel are inside the repairs. And what used to cost us money traveling was an expense, and we watched our money draining down. Now started to fill it up, and actually we started putting more money in the bank than we were taking out because we were making money and we had tax deductions. And I'm like, whoa. So these people, I said, well, you might be interested in jewelry. And they, it doesn't take up much space. That's the great thing in a motorhome. It's very compact. So even in the trunk of my car, I put displays. You just take them out, put them on the table. You're in business. I mean, it's just so easy. And it's space efficient. Display is less than 1 square foot, and it holds more than $4,000 worth of jewelry. So there you go. Retail value. So they bought 500, and I continued to go up and down the coast. And I said, I'll be back after a while. And about 3 weeks later, and this was kind of a formula I'll explain to you. They came back 3 weeks later. I came back 3 weeks later, sorry. And this was what they did for the summer in this fair because they liked it and had friends and outside, fresh air. Then the fruit started showing up. Oregon's just got such fresh fruit. So now, not only that, I'm eating really healthy. At the beginning of that year, it was 3 Dunkin' Donuts a day and coffee, and my stomach was kind of guttish. So I was carrying those bags, quite a few jewelry bags at that time, and I shifted to fresh flats of strawberries, filberts. There was one place that on this Route 20, I would drive 30 miles out of the way to get this strawberry shortcake. It was crazy. You know, the fresh cream from the cows in the field. Oh, it was delicious. So I'm making a living, living the life and eating well. And that year I got really healthy. I started doing sit-ups because I stopped eating the donuts. I got up every morning. I stretched a little bit, the clean air. Then I saw these people again after 3 weeks. I said, so how's it going? Great. They go, it's doing really good. We want to buy more. So then they bought 1,500. I go, whoa, this is wonderful, because truly what happens, and the reason I got in the jewelry business is because I had a gift store, several in Key West, Florida. And this one guy came in towards the end of those stores because I had to wait. Key West in the 80s was very seasonal. So for 3 months, I made a ton of money. 9 months, I starved. And I waited. And it was hot. And it wasn't fun. And so this guy comes in with 2 boxes of jewelry, rings, ring trays. And he goes, Peter, I got these rings. And he introduced himself to me and everything. We got talking. He goes, well, Peter, I have these rings. And they sell really well. And I'm like, what do I want rings for in a gift store? He goes, well, stores that put jewelry in them, their sales are 30 to 40% jewelry because it's such an impulse item. And also, all kinds of women wear it, and men. But mostly women, of course. And I said, well, I don't really want it. And he says, look, I'll leave it here for you, free of charge. I'll come back in a month when I come back through Key West, and you just tell me whether you want to buy any of these or not. Just tell me what happens. Whatever doesn't sell, you just give back to me, keep the money. If you don't sell anything, just give them all back. I said, well, that's a good deal. So I left them out. He came back, there were 2 rings left. And I never forget that, because he was out traveling and I'm stuck in my store. Feeling like, well, when's the next, I'm hungry, because when's the next customer? I got all this overhead, everything. Right. And so, you know what I did? I closed my stores, 4 of them in Key West. And I started the jewelry business because of that one guy. So back to these people, the Willards in Oregon, the second time I saw them, they bought 1,500. So that's 3 times the first time they bought. I went away, they're happy, I'm happy. I'm like, wow, business grew 300% in 3 weeks. Then I come back again in another 3 weeks approximately, and they bought $4,500. Maybe it was 43, but it was darn close to 45. I'm like, yeah, triple again. They're doing really good. They love the jewelry. I'm like, wow, I have a whole new customer. That was just one. And the season ended. They went down to Arizona. They would call me. I'd ship them merchandise, and they continued on for years. And actually, I traded some jewelry for the deposit on the property they couldn't sell. So I actually bought their land, 2.78 acres in Gold Beach, Oregon. I helped them. They helped me. What a win-win.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so that...
Was this your own design already that you were selling, or was this other people's jewelry at that time?
At that time, actually, I hired their daughter, who was a designer, who drew my first collection of dolphin jewelry. So at that time, I was pretty much buying and selling, and I didn't have a lot of... It's just the year I started my 2 year, 2nd year into my company in Thailand. So I needed a designer for my jewelry because I wasn't, and she did it. And it was pretty ornate, it was beautiful. And I did make those designs. And that's the first custom designs I had. And then as I grew my company in Thailand, I would add more designs because I got direct feedback. That's the great thing. I got direct feedback right from the customers, what they liked. So I could design quickly what they wanted. And you know, Glenn, that's part of the program that I'm packaging here is you can create your own line of jewelry. You don't need to sell mine, but you can make your own line of jewelry and accompany your design line with
Mhm.
over 6,000 designs I have to choose from.
Okay, Peter, well, it sounds to me like you're selling a lifestyle here as well as a source of income as well.
Oh, yes. I mean,
Very intriguing. So, can you kind of give us an overview of what the program is?
sure. Uh, so this program is targeted for people. Uh, it's targeted for several different groups of people, but what I know now is the statistics tell me that the baby boomers are retiring, and there's between 10 to 14,000 people retiring today, or better yet, Glenn, after 50, people start to think, what am I going to do when it's time to retire? I have a nest egg. And people think, oh, well, I have to be so careful. And my dream was to get a motor home, and I have enough money to do that. And my dream was to go from Florida to Michigan, or Florida to Oregon, or Arizona, or where it is in the South that they dream to go, or just travel the country as
Mhm.
they choose. Well, it's expensive to do that. And but they did plan properly. They have enough money. But I say some people are on the edge too, and they don't have quite enough money. But if they went, and what about my friends? My friends in Michigan, I'm leaving them. I want to meet new people. So this whole package is really a financially lifestyle enhancing package in the way that I explained, because you're number one, you've got a business. Now your nest egg is not shrinking necessarily, because in this program, depending on how many shows and fairs you do, you can just casually make $10,000 or $20,000 profit for pocket money above your cost and expenses. Let's just say that's the bottom line. And you've got, then all of a sudden you've got all that tax deduction, because you start your own little business, DBA. It can be a DBA, it doesn't have to be complicated, and
Mhm.
a sole proprietor, and you travel as you dreamed, and maybe beyond, and maybe you travel in a little better style than you had imagined because you've got some extra money. Then you're out being social and meeting new people, and you're not like retired, you're thriving, right? You're
Mhm.
thriving after 50, you're thriving after 60. You're just, now you've got a new spark and really a new horizon in your life that you didn't realize actually existed. And life becomes really exciting rather than fearful, and maybe even stressful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, is there a way? Is this kind of geared then at people with motorhomes and people living out of, driving around selling out of their trunk or something? Or can you also just have a lifestyle where you fly to shows and sell and then come home and go from there? Or
Oh,
which?
sure. You can do that. There are fairs all over the world, actually, and
Mhm.
some places, when you're coming in and out, if you have a lot of jewelry, you have to declare it, and it's a pretty simple process. But if you're in the United States and flying around doing fairs anywhere you want in the country, uh, it's pretty much hop on the plane. I mean, my family, that's the good thing. Your family can go to these fairs and they get like a holiday, because I've been doing this all my life. I mean, my last 30 years, and I've traveled all my life. And it just opens the door. There were fairs like I did an international New Age trade fair in Denver, Colorado, and after that, every night we would go out to Boulder. My daughter fell in love with it. She met all kinds of friends at that
Mhm.
fair. And it was a great experience for her. She started going there when she was about 8 or 9, and we did that fair for a few years. But what's really important about this, Glenn, is when we have a passion. Some people love horseback riding, and Peter Stone has a equestrian and horse design jewelry line. It's pretty extensive. So there's horse fairs and 4-H fairs and all kinds of fairs locally, but then they're on the other country, and people dream.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's the show I always want to go to, but I don't have enough money. Well, where would you start? Start at your local shows, build your money up. I mean, if this is the case, I'm just giving you a case example. If you didn't have the money, you could stick around the neighborhood, stick around the region, drive and make money. Then now you plan next year. Oh, wow, I'm going to that show I've always dreamt of. No matter what the niche is. Like, we do scuba diving shows, they're retail shows. Anybody can come in and sell. And there's surf shows. People that like to surf, we have a surf line of jewelry. There's Celtic for Renaissance fairs, Scottish jewelry for the Highland fairs, and the list goes on, as you know. Yeah.
Now, do you ever run into the situation, Peter? Like you said, you've been doing this a long time, and you have other people selling your stuff, I imagine, at this point as well. Have you ever had someone who is already selling your stuff go to the same show that you're already attending or planning to?
Yeah, I have. A matter of fact, I went to that New Age trade show that I told you about. But in this show, they sold some of my designs, but they also had their own designs. And one guy, the name of his company is Moldavite, and he was competing with me at that show. But every one of his pieces of jewelry had Moldavite gemstones in it, and mine didn't. So I didn't have that stone. He was exclusive kind of at that show with this. So I help people to work together, because with the brand of Peter Stone, you have the name of quality there. So people want to use that. Sometimes they use it, sometimes they don't. The one person who did all the Scottish clan pins from California, Michael McFarlane, we did his beautiful pins, and he loves them. And we still work with him today, 15, 18 years later. And he's still making beautiful. And he's the only one with sterling silver Scottish Celt pins in the world. He told me there might be one other person, but he said they're not in a big way like him. So they were at the fair. So having different collections you can, but even having the same collections, it's not really a problem.
It's not. You wouldn't have two Peter Stones on different sides of the venue here.
Pretty much you wouldn't, unless it was a huge fair like in Tucson, Arizona, which is kind of crazy there, but that's a whole different story. That's huge. And it's not, I wouldn't say that's a place to really to sell, but for other fairs that have your passions, well, let's just say in 30 years it hasn't been much of a challenge, because it's a big country.
Okay, so is your program geared where someone who just wants to do this kind of part-time on the side and maybe make $10,000-$20,000 a year, on up to someone who wants to make $300,000 a year? I mean, could your program work with anybody?
Well, actually it does, and you can work at any level that you're comfortable with. We had one client that I also met at this New Age trade show. This woman had this beautiful plaques, and it turns out that her husband made the plaques by hand with wood, and then he went and made a mold, and then they made resin, and they're wall hanging resin plaques, so he could duplicate it. Well, they were so beautiful. I said, Suzanne, you should really consider turning this into jewelry. So time went on, shows passed. She says, well, Paul, he's busy. He's an artist, a little bit kind of in his own world. And I couldn't get Paul to do this. And so 2 shows passed. The third one's coming up. They were every 6 months. I got a phone call 26 days before the show. Suzanne says, Peter, we need help. I'm like, well, what do you mean, Suzanne? She goes, we bought a house. We don't know how we're going to pay for it, and we need some extra money. I'm like, yeah, well, that's good for us and good for her, because finally their beautiful artwork gets to get transformed. So they picked 19 designs, pretty ornate. I got to tell you, Glenn, really ornate, beautiful pieces. And they gave us a challenge because they didn't give us like 3 months because it takes a long time to make some of these models. The model makers at Peter Stone work morning, noon, and night, and on the weekend to get their job done. Well, FedEx is amazing. Our team is amazing. I have to take my hat off to them because I didn't do that work. I'm only the orchestrator. They finished those 19 designs in the 26 days, arrived FedEx before 10:30 delivery international by 3 o'clock that afternoon, because they had been making this hammered work, this beautiful artwork, and had a really solid following. I call this parallel leveraging. And if somebody else does art, I suggest they add jewelry, because right away you have customers. So their customer base for the last 7 years loved them and respected them. Now they came out with the jewelry. Are you kidding me? Of course we want your jewelry. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they had a $5,000 order from one of their customers, only one. Then by the end of the show, I mean, they had like over 10,000 in orders for that show. I forget the exact number, but I think it was closer to 12 or a little less than 15, but it was a lot for a first show. So when somebody knows. So as the story goes, they built the line. We do not just sterling silver jewelry. We do gold. We do platinum. We do copper healing jewelry, bracelets with different designs, not just the out-of-the-box design. And we do brass, yellow brass jewelry. So they have a line of brass jewelry, they have a line of copper jewelry, and their main line is sterling silver jewelry.
Okay.
So 3 years passes. And I kind of joking, we're on the phone talking about their next design line. They're living in Vermont, beautiful house. I went up to their house. We're friends, and they went to Tony Robbins seminars too. And so we bonded pretty good. And Life Mastery, they went also. And so I go, so Suzanne, so have you added that addition to your new house yet? And because they pay for their house, right? They're paying for their house plus what happened. Sorry, it wasn't 7 years. It was 10 years when they started doing the jewelry. So 3 years later, the jewelry surpassed the income of their main line.
Oh,
So
is
when
that
you ask,
so? Wow.
can someone make 300,000? They did. They made more than that.
Wow. Wonderful.
Yeah, and there's more than that one story. I mean, we have it goes on, but I won't bore you with it. But I will let you know that anyone who would like to, know a little more background, it's there.
Okay. And what kind of jewelry do you make, and what are the price ranges, basically, retail wise, if they were going to be sold to people?
Right. Well, we've been at this so long, and I'm kind of a crazy entrepreneur and wild man when it comes for designing. I don't know when to stop, and that's my passion, is creativity. So in the 30 years, probably I've and my team have created over 12, maybe 14,000 of our own designs. Now,
Oh my
within
gosh.
that, I sent you a list of what used to be 37 main collections, like horse jewelry or scuba diving jewelry, recovery jewelry, Renaissance jewelry, Scottish jewelry, kitty cat jewelry, dogs, wildlife, and the list goes on. Flowers, floral, fashion jewelry, heart jewelry, things with wings like insects and dragonflies and butterflies and all kinds of dragons. So all of these are collections, and people can kind of pick any one of those collections that is their passion, number one. But in this project that I have, that I've shared with you a little bit, is that in our package, I'll design you free, well, in the package, 25 of your own designs, whether it's cats or somebody goes to dog shows, they love dogs, or whatever it is. It could be Celtic, it could be Scottish. We have a whole line of Viking jewelry, and the TV shows, going back into the like 5 and 10 centuries ago. It's popular jewelry. So you can pick your niche. You can pick your passion, so to speak. That's what I did, because I love going to the seaside resorts. So we have this brand called Dive Silver Jewelry. And well, I have to say I got carried away, but the feedback is, gosh, Peter, I've never seen designs like this before. And that's music to my ears, because we do have some beautiful, unique things that you just don't see in the marketplace. A lot of people go for cheap, and they don't look for the quality. And I have someone who's been selling our Celtic jewelry, and she says when silver went really high to $50 an ounce, it was a struggle for everyone. But it's maintained, and that doesn't happen for every 25 or 30 years. And so this just happened a few years ago. So we're safe for the next 20 or so years, or 30 years. And so she's looking. Where can I get more Celtic jewelry? I need it cheaper, because it was expensive, really expensive back then. And so she starts looking at, oh, well, Peter, I can get this in Thailand really cheap. I go, well, good luck getting reliable delivery. Good luck. We hope that it's 925, as they say it is. And I'll tell you what, actually, probably more than half have been copied from our designs. But the problem with that is you need reliability, and where Peter Stone comes in. I know, owning 15 retail stores and having attended fairs and things, especially in a fair, like if it's July 4th or whatever it is, you've got a fair for 10 days. We have a customer in California, and he drives all over the country, the western part of the country, out of his car. Actually, he's got a van, and he's been doing this for as long as I've known him, 15 years. One of our best clients. And he goes, Peter, so I sold this. Within 3 weeks, he sends us an order. Boom, we send it to him. Sometimes we send it right to his hotel at the show. He picks it up, puts it out. He says, I got the show. It's really important. I really have to have these. So when you run out of your best sellers, even if you save a dime or 50 cents, it's not worth it, because when that turns into profit, you've lost thousands of dollars. So
what do you do there, Peter? You said that you send some of the jewelry right to the hotels where the show's going to be. And for something like rings, for example, where there's just various sizes and stuff, right. You just pick the 5, 6, 7 sizes that are most popular and go with those. And then, I mean, necklaces, I can see there's no issue for, because they don't come in sizes or so. But anything that's sized, won't you have to carry quite an inventory with you?
Well, after a while, you start to know the best sellers, right? So yes, you can be safe and carry the sizing, but I always say this, Glenn. So you have a necklace, right? And you've got a bracelet, right? And you got earrings. So one neck, one pair of ears, a couple of wrists, a couple of ankles for anklets. However, I always look at this and then I count 1 through 10. And guess what? They're all different sizes. That's the nice thing. So people kind of, when they see a ring and they really love it, they kind of get ring fever. And they love going through ring trays. It's been my observation over the years. People they just start picking through the ring tray and they put it on this finger, put it on this finger. And finally they find one that fits, and size isn't really an issue.
Oh, okay.
Not really. And because there's 10 fingers. And you know what? That's one of the biggest questions. Oh, I have to get rings. I have to get a lot of sizes. Oh, yes. Isn't that nice? Because you'll sell a lot too. So the rings sell 4 to 1 over necklaces, earrings, and bracelets. Oh, yeah.
Do they?
And what I do in Northern California, I always said, so I had these rings that were brushed silver. When I first started business, I bought these rings because I liked them, but they were more European style. They were brushed silver, a little bit of shiny stuff, and they had gold accent. And they were kind of small. They were like maybe size 4, 5, and 6. And I didn't know what I was doing. No one to guide me. And that's what I do in this program. I save you a lot of cash flow mistakes because of my 30 years experience. And I'm trying to sell these rings, and I'm selling them as rings. That's it. And I showed them for, I don't know how long, months and months. It seemed like years, but because I was just starting and I couldn't sell them, and I only invested a little money, like 5 or 10,000. It wasn't that much. And I'm like, what can I do? And I started thinking. So I got these little ring trays, and they had 36 slots. And then because I saw some ads and I saw, oh, these are pinky rings, only for your pinky, small size rings. Oh, these are children's rings in this one. And these are knuckle rings. They were all the same rings, Glenn, until I put a new label on them. Oh, pinky rings. I love it. Boom. They sold like candy. Amazing. So we can take you back to the sizing. So once I learned that, I said, yeah, a lot of people have, well, a certain percentage, if 20% of the population, 300 or 400 million people have a little size ring, and it's 20%, that's a lot of people, right? That are out looking for rings they can't find because nobody wants to carry size 2, 3, 4. But Peter Stone makes them. So when I was on my trip going up and down the Oregon coast in Seattle and Northern California, I went into Northern California, and there's the, what is that city? I forget. Up in the north. Oh boy.
Mendocino, Eureka.
Eureka. And that's where I said Eureka, because I'd never forget this day. I went into this store. It's a big store, and they had really nice countertop, and it was an open store. And this woman's behind, and it was high ceilings, and it was like a old, maybe from the 50s, 1850, like an old building, high, and really, really interesting building. But it was bright. And so we were having a talk, and I had these little rings, and they sold so well. And that's what these Willard people, the Rollins, they bought Willard Rollins. And this woman, I said, well, I have these sizes, but I also have this bag over here. So what I did when I made rings, I made like 10% of my stock was size 2, 3, and 4. I risked it. But I also made on the other side, Glenn, there's a lot of big guys in Oregon chopping trees, okay? And man, they got size 14, 15, 16, some of them 17 fingers, right? I'm like, wow, 17, who ever heard of that? But we got orders for size 17 ring. And that's part of what Peter Stone does, is custom work. So now I have the size 2, 3, and 4. And I told this woman, she's like, no way. Because people come in the store, I'm not the only guy, come in the store, but she happened to have a size 3 finger. She could never find a ring. She told me 5 years. She actually leaped over the counter to hug me because for 5 years, no one had a size 3 ring. And I was her hero. And she bought a bunch of jewelry that day. Then on the other side, all I do is I find my best sellers and I can recommend those to people because we know what they are. And then I make 14, 15, 16. Do I have to spend money, a few extra $100? You're darn right I do. But at the end of the year, do I put an extra $5,000 or $10,000 in my bank? You're darn right I do. Because people play it safe. That's kind of like when you ask the question, well, don't you have to have a lot of rings? I go, yeah, but people have 10 fingers. And then if they have friends and they come and at a fair and a festival, they travel in little groups, right? 2 or 3 people. All of a sudden, 30 fingers show up at your table. And there's only 3 necks.
So Peter, kind of give us an overview as to median retail cost of what your jewelry is. Is it
okay? Sorry, that was the original question. Yes, got carried away. So on a band ring that is 8 to 10 millimeters wide, it's probably around wholesale price is around $10. Could be 12, could be 8. Smaller rings run around $5. You can sell them for $20 all day. Anything under $20 sells really fast, but it depends on where you are on the level of the buyer. Then another level I'm going to say is around the $15 range. So we really have charms. So we have charms, and they're really inexpensive. I mean, they run for anywhere from a couple dollars to $5, depending how ornate they are. We have pendants that can run from just say $5 to $50 because they can be really ornate and have a lot of gemstones. But the average price is maybe around $12 to $16 in that $15 range. You triple it, it's less than $50. Rings, again, the small, medium, large with gemstones. Really, you can still get gemstone rings for anywhere from 8 to up to 20 or even 25 if they're really ornate and big gemstones. Necklaces.
These are wholesale prices?
Yes, those are wholesale prices. Yeah.
Okay.
Earrings, typically 12. Anywhere. So if they're small, they could be 7, but typically 12 if they're nice looking and larger. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have higher end jewelry too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have designer lines. Actually, we partnered. We have like a fairy line of jewelry. So we got connected with artists. We started getting connected with all these artists, Celtic artists, fairy artists, magical artists, and this Dryad design company and the Scottish. But yeah, we have all these different designs where you can make your own line. Really in any direction that you'd like to go.
Okay, so some of the higher price jewelry starts at where?
I would say, I'm going to say around $30. You can get some really impressive, what the perception in the marketplace is going to be, wow, that's really beautiful, that's ornate, and I'll pay good money for this piece, where you retail it just under 100 or 90 and it's $30 or even more. Depends. If you go to California and you have a really beautiful designer piece, the mindset, because I did this in Long Beach diving show, which takes place in June, sometimes May, but mostly June every year. And this woman came very dressed elegantly and stylish in California. And I had this bracelet, and silver was inexpensive, and we did it. I just did a minimum markup to get the business going because it was a long time ago. And she was used to paying for bracelets, I knew, $300 and $400. And I have this beautiful two whales breaching out of the water cuff bracelet. It's gorgeous. It's ornate. And so she says, well, how much is it? I'm thinking, well, it should be cheap, right? I mean, not that expensive, but I didn't look at the person I was selling to. And that's part of making money, right? So I said, well, it's $92. And she like looks at me and, well, that couldn't be real. But the thing is, we have assay. We do all our own assaying of our silver. You're guaranteed. And it was at that time. And I didn't put a big markup. You know, it was only four times, 400% I made on that piece, actually a little more. And she's the kind of woman that would be expect to pay at least $350 for that.
Wow.
Yeah. And she walked away because she's thinking, wow, that's too cheap. So
Interesting.
oh yeah, because people have this misconception about price. If you go out and look on the road, there's plenty of expensive SUVs, Audis, and all that stuff.
Well, if you sell to a business person there at what would you double the wholesale price to them or something, or just put a percentage on what you're getting it for, and then they have to turn around and sell it for what they mark it up 2.2% in their store. Is that pretty much how it
Well,
works?
typically in a store, if you just want a standard safe markup, just without putting it up where you can make like some real great money, but if you want to make good money, the formula is like 2.25% from wholesale to retail. But
Right.
really, some things are going to be too cheap at that markup. And you could get 3 or 4 times. I mean, when I first opened my Ocean City outlet in Ocean City, Maryland, when I had my company there, my wholesale distribution, and my wife and I opened a store right on the beach because we wanted to be on the beach after work. Beautiful place, meet people from all over the world, and it was a lot of fun. It was like being on holiday because we're on the boardwalk. So she couldn't get over it that from our cost to our selling price to making the jewelry making the jewelry in Thailand, she felt guilty because she didn't think she could sell it at 1,000% profit. This was years ago. I said, but if you sell it any cheaper, people that are our customers down the way are going to get upset that you're trying to sell it cheaper than them. So she finally realized that you don't want to sell things too cheap, especially every model we have is an original model, and the design, we have a lot of work into it. And our jewelry is not the cheapest, but it's really not expensive. It's good value, really good value. And the resale, I was telling you about that woman that has been that Celtic jewelry for so long, and when the price went high, she looked in Thailand. And I said, God, you can't get the delivery. It's not safe. You're never going to be happy with the quality after you've had Peter Stone. Your customers will hate you, actually. I know. I did an event in Tucson, Arizona. I bought Celtic jewelry in 1996 when it got really hot. It's still hot. And I compared it to 5 companies, and I put Peter Stone side by side, and I had a seminar. And I invited people, please compare. I did not put the company name on it. I said, just please look at the difference. For your price is only 25 to 50%, 50 cents more. And you tell me if you see a difference.
It was a visible difference.
Yes, a visible difference in beauty, in quality, in weight, like a piece of jewelry. Some people like to make it so thin and it cheap so everybody can make money. Well, you can still make money and put quality, and that's the way I run my business, is that this woman, that's why she's been buying from me. She knows she can get a look-alike cheaper, but she says, Peter, people just tell me I have the most beautiful Celtic jewelry. Those are her words, and she'll tell you that. So one of the women that I told you about in Michigan. Yes, she
All
is.
right. So if we get our jewelry from you at a certain price, let's
Mhm.
call it wholesale price,
Okay.
and we want to sell that to a retail store up here that wants to carry that product, how much would we mark that up to
Well,
them?
if you get it, if what you would need to do to sell it at wholesale price is buy it from export. So
Buy it from export.
yes, so there's three levels. There's what you call FOB. I ship direct to you from Thailand. That price I told you is like double to get your wholesale price. Then from wholesale price, you go to retail price. So you have to have the wholesale price. If you're a wholesaler, you can still be a distributor and still put money on there and still sell it to stores. From a wholesaler, you would be a distributor for a wholesaler. So what it means is the level of pricing goes from export price to wholesale price to retail price. Those are the three tiers of profit.
Okay, so you have an export price, then that
Mhm.
goes right to the business itself that you sell to?
The export price goes right to a wholesaler. So if you're a
Right.
wholesaler, you have to make profit from your price that you buy it at.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Okay.
then the wholesaler will sell it to the retailer, who then has to mark it up 2, 3, or 4 times. So at
Okay.
each level, but the difference between the wholesaler and the retailer is the wholesaler sells larger volume. So therefore, you sell 500, 1,000, $2,000 at a time, and so you've made the same amount of well, maybe more profit than sitting and waiting in your store if you have a store. Some people love stores and enjoy stores, like Pam, my wife. She loved running a store, and she liked being there and meeting people, and she liked selling, and she had a lot of fun doing it, and still does.
Okay, so let me just run this by you and see if I got this correct.
Sure.
You can, if you're going to be selling wholesale to other stores, you can get it at an export price from you,
Hmm.
mark that up 200% to come up to the wholesale price. And then those people you sell to that are going to be selling at retail can mark that up 300%.
Yes,
Okay. Just wanted
that's
to make that clear there.
those are the average numbers.
Okay. All right. Very good. And that, I guess that answers one of my questions. For example, if I sell wholesale to a store, what's going to stop that person from cutting me out and going directly to you to try to deal with them directly? They'll be getting it sold at wholesale price.
Well, no, they can't. I mean, essentially, what all you need to do is tell me that this is your customer, and I protect them. I have,
Okay.
like, we used to have a lot of sales reps on the road, but we don't have that many anymore. We sell like selling at fairs and things. We have probably, well, I don't know how many we have, but we scaled it down because we're doing more of the FOB, more of the export than the wholesale. So
Hmm.
it's just less people for us, and that opens the door really for actually other wholesalers to go out there and fill the gaps where we were before. So um, the when you've got a customer, all you have to do is say, okay, you're dealing at one level or another with Peter Stone Jewelry. If I know, like Glenn says, okay, Peter, I'm wholesaling to these 3 stores. If they call you, I protected them. I go, no, you have to buy from Glenn because Glenn's the distributor for this area. And
Okay.
that's that. We protect you. This has been like an issue, a question, not an issue, but a question for years. Like it still is. Where was I? I have a distributor in Spain for the Dive Silver Jewelry that we just agreed like 4 months ago. And one of their questions is, well, they have an exclusive area, all of Spain, because they bought a large volume. And for the number of dive shops, it's not a whole lot, but it's plenty for good business. So they got to protect it, a whole area protected. But if they have a customer, all they have to do is let us know. We put it in the database. That's Glenn's customer. That's just like a design, Glenn. So when you make a design line, if you do 25 designs, you make your own collection. The first thing my staff asked me, well, Peter, are you partnering with these people so that can you sell it to somebody else? And like you would get a commission. If you said, Peter, I would like you to sell my jewelry in Europe, but I'm not going to Europe, or in Australia, because I'm not going to Australia, but I have a presence in Australia. So we would make an agreement. You get a commission or a percentage or a royalty because you're the artist now of that line, and you would take a commission of the sales. We did this with that one company I talked about. It was that went from the 10,000 to the 10 years to the 13 years, who needed the money for the house. We sold their jewelry exclusive, and they never had to touch it. That was the beauty of it. It was their design. So the way it worked was we sold it to them at a price. They sold it back to us on the paperwork, and we resold it as a wholesaler in Australia for them, and they got a commission. I mean, they made, it was like a sandwich. They made everything in the middle. But if you say no, we tell our staff, no, that's an exclusive line. Glenn only gets this jewelry. We cannot sell it to anybody else. And then that's in our system. And they're amazing here about that stuff. They really care. And that's why 25 people in our staff have been with Peter Stone for more than 25 years, if you can imagine that.
All right, so it's up to the designer or whoever paid you to make the designs for them, whether or not they want to resell it to other potential sellers.
Through us. And they sell it everywhere they want. But if they want us to help market it, we'll market it. Like some of the clients I have the artist catalog, which I sent you, and you'll see all the different artists in there. All those designs belong to them. They have nothing to do with us. Some of us, we help them sell it. Some of us, exclusive only. And we only act, so even when we get the order through that catalog, we send it to them. We don't even touch it. So we act like a sales rep for them and help them market their line. They give us a commission because, well, it's, you know, we're helping them. And there's a lot of money it was not a lot, but we add a marketing expense and help them. So it takes time and money. And all we want to do is cover that, because we get the order ultimately, and they help them grow their line too around the world. So, yeah, it's an opportunity I never mentioned.
Yeah, that's very interesting too. I like that. So you can actually make money passively through your marketing means there of your. Just in the interest of time here for listeners, Peter, I'd like for you to kind of cut to the chase as to what your program is, kind of give us a real quick overview. And then after that, I may kind of wrap up this session, and we'll come back at another date and pick it up from where we left off and go into more depth, if that works for you.
Sure. So, so for the person who has been wise about their money and has got a little bit of money to spend and invest, and wants to have some fun and have secure as they thrive over 50 and beyond. So there's a $30,000 package. It's $29,997 investment into your future of financial freedom, travel, fun, and expanded social connection. So there's 21 valuable tools you get here, and you are up and running in business. I mean, you could be up and running in business in 1 month, getting your money back if you didn't need the jewelry designs. If you just went with some Peter Stone design, you'll be in business in 30 days. Boom, turnkey, a whole business. But in this package, since maybe some people have never sold jewelry before, they've never sold anything before, we do an extensive training. So this is a 90-day complete turnkey startup business with training. You get in this package $60,000 in retail jewelry value of your choice. I don't choose it, but if you want me to help you with the best sellers, I will. We guide you through the best sellers and the various niche markets you may be interested in. You get your own personal branded collection, 25 designs. You design with or without our assistance. We can design it for you. If you say, Peter, I like this kind of drawing and these images, we'll make that for you. I give you a one-on-one half-day coaching and consulting with my 30 years of experience in giving you the ins and outs of the business. You get a top-level client services rep for the whole first year to get you going, make sure you're off started in the right direction. You can come to Thailand and you can work with our team on design and see what we do here for 2 days. We'll give you a couple days of our time with one of our professional staff here. Then in the 120-day period, it's a 90-day startup, but I give you an extra bonus month. You get 5 one-hour one-on-one sessions with Peter Stone on Zoom meeting. Okay, so we talk in person and we get you going. There's 3 months of coaching and consulting, consisting of 6 60 to 90-minute Zoom sessions with Q&A after that. I add on 1 additional month, 2 live Q&A sessions where you can ask me anything. I'll give you some rough guidance should you want to sell online with Amazon, Etsy, or other online stores. I'll give you fair, festival, and event sales ideas, guidance, and tools and shortcuts. We provide you with up to $1,500 at point of sales tools, which means displays, packaging, gift box, gift bags, and you could put your own logo on there, but that costs a little more to put your own logo, but we give you those tools to get started with. We'll give you marketing graphics pre-formatted with your design of your choice, whether it's Peter Stone jewelry or your jewelry, formatted for Facebook, Instagram, tweets, and Pinterest. So all those images are ready to go. We give you 36 image banners pre-formatted for the Facebook, 18 pre-formatted emails that you can send out if you already have an email list, or if you just have email your friends, or you're in a group online or something, you can post those. So in those emails, we put your details, contact you, your website if you have one, or your phone number, or if you're going to travel, where you're going to be on fairs and things. Give you up to 1,500 free high-res jewelry images to use online to help you sell the jewelry, or to put in any marketing printed material that you want to mail. 6 custom designed product videos, maximum 3 minutes each, that will talk about the jewelry that you have, and they'll help you promote your jewelry. Then the list is pretty extensive here. We really help you get going here. And whether it's Peter Stone or your branded line of videos for your jewelry lines, that's what we're going to do for you. We give you jewelry quality assay certificates. We do assays every month to make sure our silver is 925 sterling silver or better. And you never get caught online or anywhere with like some imports, they do 50% silver. Oh, buy this cheap jewelry, and you're getting, well, you're not getting the good end of the stick. I just let you know. So we provide all that. We're transparent. You can come and visit our factory anytime you want. Then I am putting together an event for just what you're talking about, that next life, that energy to get up, get out, keep your focus, that will help you on business, help you on fitness, mindset, and keep going for another 50 years, or more, because I'm giving away 2 passes for Peter Stone 3-day Net Effect 9 seminar, which means that's 3 areas in your life with 3 solid change techniques to keep you the best you that you can be as we move forward in life. And so that's the package. It's one payment of $29,997 up front, or you can do 3 payments of $10,999 each. And that way it allows you to get some jewelry, get out, sell, make a payment. And then there's lots of ways to fund yourself, but that's pretty much it in a package.
Yeah. Well, you get a lot of product there for that money too, it sounds like. So
a lot. A lot.
I didn't hear anything about websites. Say if somebody wants to create a Shopify website or something and sell your jewelry online, is that part of it, or is that something that
well,
extra?
that's something that will guide you, but we can do that work for you. But that would be a little added. We do Shopify. We have a Shopify website for our Google store, and we have a Shopify website for our Facebook store. So Facebook says you either need Wix or some kind of e-commerce or Shopify. Shopify is so simple, but some people don't want to do it. Can we do it for you? We can. And it would just be a small fee. Your monthly fee, I think Shopify is $29.95 or $39.95. And we just would cover our time to do that. And we certainly